attack. Says screw that Hellion. Actually pulls 4. That's really great. Kills that Hellion. Kills that Hellion. Immediately builds Banelings. These Banelings are so good. He builds Banelings at home as well, just in case there's some kind of Hellbat push. He really doesn't know if there's Hellbats, and if he only has Zerglings at home and there's a Hellbat, he could actually lose. So he does also morph Banelings at home, even faster than these Banelings. But the second he got in, he starts morphing Banelings, and he actually morphs even more right coming up. And there are two things that make these Banelings so strong. One is Zerglings have 35 health. When you start the morphing process, now they have 50. And they're also not a light unit. So they tank a lot more Hellion shots while they're morphing. So if you're in a choke like this, or you have your Zerglings over here and the Hellions aren't perfectly microed, they could just fake shot a Baneling, and the Baneling could get hit down to 10 HP, and then all of a sudden it finishes, and now the Hellions had 2 or 3 completely worthless shots. So that's really good. And then of course he's got a really great flank setting up because he has these Overlords here. These Overlords are not random at all. These Overlords spotted the Banshee going back home, spotted the Reaper going back home, the Hellions going back home. Let's watch Life's position first person again. So right now, this is when he sees they're going back home. He's going back and macroing. He sees the Hellions leaving, sees everything going back home. He immediately goes for a sandwich, and that's what makes these Banelings so powerful as well, is that he's about to get a 6 sandwich off, and everybody saw this live. So good. Could have been even better, but you know. So once again, these actually did bait a couple shots. Could have been a full surround. Sadly, these 2 Hellions got snuck through, but still extremely good for Life. He's in a huge advantage here. Just needs to clean this up, and he does burn a lot of Banelings. Doesn't even end up cleaning this up, sadly, but has just done a ton of economic damage, especially killing 2 new mules. And this is where Life actually gets a little ahead of himself. He just raised the supply depots. He doesn't have his whole army together. He smells blood. He's going for the throat right now. He's trying to go for the throat, and he's a little bit ahead of himself. He's a really great player, but the Zerglings are a little bit too ahead of the Banelings, and he thinks he could just run in with these Zerglings and finish them off, kill the last of these SCVs, and feel like he's in an unlosable position. Instead, the supply depots get raised. He gets forced into a small choke. He's losing like all of these poor Zerglings. Gets 1 Hellion, forced to pull back. And if only he had those extra 15 Zerglings that he just lost with this push. If he had an extra 15 Zerglings with this push would have been so powerful. So instead, this is all he's got. He doesn't have enough Zerglings to kill all these Hellions. He tries to do what he can, but in the end, it wasn't the most cost efficient for him. It kind of let Maru in the game, but at the same time, because Maru's income was so hurt, doing a cost inefficient trade to keep Maru's income down is actually still very, very strong play. So even though this wasn't the best, Life, that was still a very great play by Life, still a very smart play, still succeeded, still worth for Life. Coming up, this is where Life, I think if I had a recommendation for Life, obviously I get to kind of sit back and kind of be the coach. Obviously I would be worse in the real game. I'm not trying to say I'm better than Life, but coming up, this is where I think it would have been smarter for him to have built the layer here. So he knows there are Banshees out. He knows there are 2 Banshees because he's seen them, and that's the reason why he built these 3 spores. But he built his lair at this base, and it's preventing him from building a queen. At this point, he knows his aggression's done, and he needs to focus on defense. So what does Life do? He says, okay, my offense is over. This is done. I gotta focus on defense. What do I have to focus on? Well, I have 2 Banshees over towards my base, probably even a third. I need another queen. Where can he make a queen? He can only make it at his natural or his third base. He makes it as natural because, honestly, he wants it here. If his lair was morphing here, he could morph the queen here, and that would have been actually way, way better, because as you saw live, he just lost so many drones because this one Spore Crawler is not enough. He's got to have 2 queens. It's also in a later stage, this base gets dropped. His main base gets dropped very heavily, and having the lair be the center of your base. That's the reason why he's building the spire here. That's why he's got the Bailey Nest here. These are legitimately the safest place. If you think about if Life's entire
turn it down a little bit.
Entire base structure. I mean, he's going to take this base as well, but this is literally the safest place for his tech and everything in the later stages of the game. Maybe not right now, but for most of the game going forward, this is the best place to put tech. And that's the reason why he puts it there, and that's kind of the reason why I was also saying that it might have been better for him to build a layer here, so then the queen could be popping over here. Now obviously he'd still be taking this damage, but ideally he wouldn't take the next follow-up damage, and that next follow-up damage is truly what really crippled him. Or truly brought Maru back into this game, when Life should have had it. So he transferred, he brings the queen from his natural, realizes he should build a tumor, and ends up not even building. He's taking even more damage. He loses the queen. He's focusing on trying to get his upgrades and gas right, managing his drones, sadly losing his drones. Now he's lost 13. Finally gets 2 queens up there to push those Banshees away. And just as he finally feels like he's pushed the Banshees away, one's hitting his third. Boom. Up. And then a little bit more damage. So good. So good. Now Maru is actually mining more than Life, and his third base isn't even down yet. And once his third base is down, he's going to be mining way more. Of course, Maru's a total badass, never loses the Banshee, gets out with like 6 HP or something stupid. Super good. Finally, Life's mutas are out. He drones back up the 64 Harvester, 66, trying up to get to that 67 to 70 range. Wants to take a third base, or fourth base, I mean. Sends Zerglings out to scout. Wants to see what kind of third base this guy is taking and where. Making sure that his army's not moving out and on his way to Life's base. Doesn't see any army moving out towards his base. Goes around, sees an exposed mineral line for a moment, tries to snipe a mule. Sadly, doesn't want to go anywhere too far. Just like how Maru never dove with his Hellions, Life never really wants to dive with his Zerglings. We saw that also in Deadwing. I didn't point it out in the Deadwing game, but there was a moment where there were about 5 Marines in the guy's third mineral line, and Life saw the exposed third mineral line, but then he also saw 5 Marines showing up to help out, and he immediately pulled back and said, I'd rather save these Zerglings for a counterattack when you're not paying attention than seeing what minimal damage I can do when you are paying attention. Life wants to use Zerglings when you're not paying attention, not when you are paying attention. So, runs in, sees an exposed mineral line, tries to snipe a mule, but sees that Maru is paying attention and decides, I'd rather save these for later. Doesn't want to actually commit. Loses 1 Zergling, very quick attention span, loses 2. Not a big deal. Knows the army's not moving across the map. Now he can finally get some mutas out. He's only got 4, another 4 on the way. Starts speed really quickly. Right after his first 8 mutas, he wants to get movement speed because he wants fast overseers, especially against 3 cloak Banshees. So that's really great play. This is really interesting. 2 Bailings here. I guess it's to help keep this safe against a potential drop, because 2 Bailings are the slowest portion of the army. Sadly, damn Banshee, killing that off. And this is where Maru really takes the big advantage in this game. He's got very strong income. Huh?
Apparently the music was very loud.
What music?
Nightbot.
Oh, Nightbot's playing music? Shouldn't be. Is Nightbot on? I mean, I have it on, but it shouldn't be playing music.
It's not.
I don't know what that guy's talking about. Okay.
No, that was you.
What?
Oh, this guy. I thought you meant that guy.
Namu, thank you so much for joining me on my quest, man. Alright.
Oh my god.
Alright, so we're gonna get back into
How does
this.
this always happen?
Yeah, I can't hear any music either. I don't know what Showflex is talking about. Anyway, back to the game. So, double drop. His mutas were a little out of position. He was dealing with the Banshees, and Maru took advantage of that. That's what's so powerful. 3-cloak Banshees still in play. He always kept these Banshees alive, and that's what allowed this double drop to happen. So this double drop was able to get on the ground and actually stim forward and start doing some actual damage for drone kills. I think a couple of them might have been from the Banshee. But a couple of drone kills, he actually does snipe a muta. I think another muta coming up. Snipes one, snipes, nope, doesn't get the second one, and he gets out. And resources lost, getting really bad for life, loses another muta. He really just can't afford to lose mutas right now. He goes such a delay in muta style that once he does get mutas out, he can't afford to lose them because he's got to start switching into a heavy lane blink composition. And this is where Maru, feeling like he's actually finally at an advantage this game, decides to triple drop or quad drop. Quad drop the main while dropping one at the fourth base.
Hit me and then this one.
Looks like he focus fired some of the Veilings. Got some solid Widow Mine shots off. Keeps his medevacs alive. So crucial to keep those medevacs alive.
Not gonna play it first.
Just pulling life apart. Made life lose probably half his army. Resources lost is becoming even greater. Buying him time for that drop to hit the fourth base, and keeping life's attention on his main. Now life is so traumatized. He's so focused on his main base. Look at this. Life is so focused on his main base. And then what's happening right now? There's Cloak Banshee at his fourth. There's a drop at his fourth. Or at least I thought there was a drop. I guess it's not a drop. Never mind. I thought there was I guess it was the Banshee. I honestly thought this was a drop. I guess he just ran right through the center of the map. But yep. Really great play by Maru. He knows he has an army value lead, and when he knows he has an army value lead, he doesn't want to clump up his entire army into one and potentially create a incredible bailing hit or a Widow Mine that actually hurts him. Instead, he's just going to split up, triple drop main while hitting the fourth base. He knows he's got a bigger army, so if he hits both bases, life can truly only deal with one, and then he's going to lose the other, and that's what we see here. He's just denied too many. He's denied too many potential injects. Poor life hasn't been able to inject this base. Looks like he's floating so much energy on this guy because he's been so distracted by all these drops and all these distractions from these drops, and so his larva's being hurt. Of course, it looks like he's able to spend his money, but it's just, you know, on every other game in this series, you don't see life with 90 energy. It just doesn't happen. So you can really see that Maru's forcing his multitasking. He even loses his spawning pool. I didn't even notice that. But so life's cleaning up the main base, but at the expense of his fourth right now. Can't afford to lose these drones. I'm sure he just recently remade them, hoping that, well, if I can just hold on to my 4-base econ and then defend, then I will win. The problem is that I think these drones also meant that his army was so much smaller, and that's the reason why he wasn't able to defend this. Maybe if those drones were all Zerglings, he would have been able to hold this hatchery, but he wouldn't have been able to take advantage of it. He would have still had this deadweight hatchery and this exposed position that's not granting him any kind of benefit because he couldn't afford to just mine it. So that was the dilemma that life was in, and he chose greed. He chose A,